What's going on, Paisan? I'm Danny Sess. This is Sess Says MaxEffort. Very different setup today. We got whoever wants to join can join. It's the Royal Rumble of podcasts. So far in the chat, we got Dalton, Darren, and Evan. Everybody knows these guys. They've done their own one-on-ones with me. But today we're just going to throw it around, kind of touch base on some different topics and see where this goes. You know, this is probably the least planned one that we have yet. But, hey, let's make it happen. Darren, I think we should start with you. You've done shown some progress pics already. You have longer term plans outside of the contest. I think this is like the great strategy moving forward towards the end game of this. Maybe we can talk about where you are in the contest, how many days left. And I was really impressed with what you were putting out in the chat. You know, here's where I'm at. Here's where I want to be by the end of the contest. And hey, here's where I want to be by Muscle Island. I thought that was really well laid out.
Yeah. Thanks again. In the chat, I put certain, weight that I'd like to be at. I think I put 220 by the end of contest right now. I'm sitting around 35 this morning, up a couple pounds from yesterday's cheat, which is expected. And then I'd like to, like I said, 220 by the end of contest. And then, by Muscle Island, get down to 200, and then my birthday is October 28th. Love to be under awesome. 200 by then. And so, I got like 29 days or 30, like a month left of the that I got, right. And so, my strategy really doesn't change. I was contemplating doing another creamy cheat tonight, but I don't know. I'm not like missing it right now. Like in my head, I'm like, do I need it? Nah, I don't think so. But then we'll see what happens. We're going to go out to dinner tonight. My wife's like, I want to go out for ice cream. I'm like, well, I'm not eating any fucking ice cream, which is like, I hate when they go out because I'm like, fuck me, like.
Right. I know. I'm the same way. It's like, it's like you're paying a lot of money. And then I'm like, how am I going to eat? Just like,
Yeah. So I'm not sure where we're going to go to for dinner. It's either going to be this place by the house, which is like, they have something for everybody, or we're going to go get barbecue. I'd rather get barbecue just because who doesn't like barbecue?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, my strategy for this contest, I thought I was going to be kind of how I was last year, where it's like maybe no cheats all contest, or like Dalton said previous to this recording, where doing too much might be too much. Less is more. And so I haven't obviously haven't missed a day. I've been incorporating, my GPP might be different than others, where I've always done the Rogue Echo bike for 10 minutes. And then this contest, I've incorporated just some like incline walks for like the least amount of time, 10 minutes, and the most amount of time is 30 minutes. Not going super fast. I'd say the fastest is like 3.2. The slowest is probably around 2 miles an hour. I was doing 12% inclines, but then I'm like, I can get more time in and not feel fatigued at 8%. So that's what I've been doing more so. And then I'll do abs, and then hit my workout, and then do my lunging. And I think what the biggest factor for me this year versus last year, last year I did a lot of deficit lunges, right? And I looked at Mason last year, and he was always outside. And I'm like, I got to do it. I don't care, rain or shine. I got to be outside, and I love it. Like it's my one non-negotiable. Obviously, is always lunging, but adding on top of that is being outside. And I feel like when you're outside and lunging, something about that intensity you can't match by doing deficit lunges. Deficit lunges are great. I love the way I feel with them. I feel more like elastic, I guess. I don't know if that's the right verb or adjective, whatever. But yeah, I feel like being outside is the way to go. Like, I feel like you're going to see better results by doing it the way that it was intended, right? So that's just me personally. But
I totally understand. And I think Dalton would agree with you. Doing the lunges outside is like a true lunging mentality. Whether it's cold, it's hot, like you're out there, you're doing it, you're in the street. That's probably the best way to push intensity too. I don't know, Dalton.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, going outside when it's freaking freezing out there, you just, I mean, most time I don't think about it, but sometimes, just like anybody, like, dude, I don't really feel like going out there. But once you go out there, embrace whatever the weather is, cold, snow, raining, especially the rain, man, it like gets you on another level. Also, just having that distance where it's the same distance day in, day out, that's where that intensity comes from because you're going the same distance. So if you beat that time, it's like you're really pushing the lunges. That's one thing I did, 23, whenever I won, was like push it because I remember I started and I was doing 800 meters. I think at that time I might have done 1 mile before G put out the intensity on the lunges video, and he was talking about how hard Travis was going, and I needed to hear it just like anybody else. It was like, yeah, I need to step my game up. And I was really pushing it, and it sucked for a while because you're really like trying to push past that lactic acid threshold where your legs are freaking burning, your lungs are burning, but eventually, like, I won't say it gets easier, you just get better. And then like that's not even the problem no more. Now it's just mentally trying to just push it. So I mean, I always love outside lunges for that reason. So
yeah, for sure. Evan, you have the longest lunge streak, I think, out of all of us ever. Maybe me and Dalton combined are two longest lunge streaks. What about you? Where do you stand on the lunges outside? Oh, we're having some technical difficulty. Okay. So
it's a dial-up, man. I told you, Evan, a dial-up. You got to get on high speed, man.
Darren, the other thing you were saying when you were first kicking everything off was, hey, I'm making really good progress, and I only have 30 days left of the contest, but everything is going great. One thing that Dalton was talking about before was like, we only have 10 weeks, so sometimes is a point where you get to and you're wondering like, hey, my weight didn't go down as much as last week. Should I change something up? Should I eat less? Should I eat more? Am I it's like a little bit of a panic mode. And some people have even said like, hey, my weight has plateaued for like a week or two. And it's a little bit of like a time crunch now because it's like, I only have 4 or 5 weeks left, maybe even less than that. What am I doing differently for the rest of this contest? I think Mason, he's like, hey, I'm going up in weight. Like the mirror test is big, but how does that time crunch, the time against the end of the contest, factor into everything?
Yeah, I think it's a mental game for sure. I had a talk with Brian before the contest, and he's like, whatever you do, just stay the course. Because last year I didn't freak out. I was just like, okay, I'm not seeing, like, for the first part of the contest last year, I did I think 2 weeks of busy diet, then I went right into 101, and that's what was really the thing I think kicked things off. And then toward the end, I think I hit a plateau, and Dalton's like, check out the fat loading video. So I started fat loading, and that was just awesome in general. But I think I wanted to this year just do what I've been doing. I've been sticking with busy diet. Fridays and Saturdays, I'll just fast till dinner. I won't even have my shake.
Yeah, I like it.
Which also saves me servings on our 20 servings bags, So
right, that's a good way to do it.
But yeah, I mean that's what I've been doing Fridays and Saturdays. And if I do anything, I think I would try the bone broth fast that Brian and Billy did. Not Brian, Mason. I picked some bone broth up the other day just to have just in case. Because I was thinking about doing it starting Monday, this coming up, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just see what Monday looks like, and then we can go from there and reassess. But I'm like, I don't feel different. Like yesterday, like I love the time frame training. My arms felt massive yesterday. Like that shit was just
humbling. That's what it was. Humbling. Yeah, it was hard.
It was very hard.
5 minutes is like, fuck, dude. Like, I mean, I have Alexa, and I'm like, Alexa, start 5 minutes, and then. She might do it now, but anyways, after like 4 minutes, I'm like, dude, how much time is left?
Yeah, I know.
Freaking, I mean, like you get humbled fast. It's like, dude, I gotta drop some weight off the fucking bar. Like this ain't working.
Yeah, I think that's very common. You're like the first couple reps, you're like, yeah, I could probably do more weight than this. But then it's like you're like halfway done. You're like, I need less weight.
Dude, the reverse tricep push downs where your wrists are up. that was so humbling. I'm like, oh my God, like my triceps felt like they're going to explode out of my skin yesterday.
Yeah, your long head, man, it burns, especially when you get, I mean, I love it though, but yeah, 5 minutes is crazy.
So, but yeah, I mean, just, I think for me, is just staying in the pocket, don't change anything, and let's just see where it takes us. Like, to be honest, like, winning would be great, placing would be great, but it's silly saying this, but like, I just don't give a fuck. Like, I'm my being in the group that's more rewarding for me, you know, like,
yeah.
So thanks to Dalton. But
yeah, you're not putting all your eggs in the basket saying if I don't win, then you know I suck. It's like, dude, you're getting better, and it's the longevity game where you're just like,
Yes.
I got better this year, and then now you're building it up on next year, and then you're going to be where you want to be and exceed what you want to be. Because when I first lost my initial weight before I met Corey, like Corey G and all that, like, man, I well past what I ever wanted to accomplish. I just wanted to lose weight. And then it went from that to let me get some abs. And went from that to doing some powerlifting. And it's just always evolution of building and just trying to get better. So I'd never want to get out of shape. I'm always trying to get better at like my float, get as strong as I can in my float, which that's half the problem too with some of the mentality stuff is like, or mental things. It's like, I'm at the peak, like I'm the strongest I've ever been. I'm probably like the leanest I've ever been, minus like 5-10 pounds or something like that. But, always trying to be best. I mean, eventually, like, you hit that plateau where it'd be like that for a little while, but maybe it's changing the program. So like this morning I was looking into Squat Life 2.0 just to see like, hey, what's this about? So
yeah.
So there's so many different programs you could do, so many different diets. Like I said, I experimented with eggs last 2 weeks. First week went pretty good. Last week, it was like, nah, this ain't working out too good. So just going back to 101, well, I know it works, but I feel like when, if you're in a good spot where you want to be at, that's the best time to experiment. Because it's like, what works, what doesn't work. You're already in really solid shape. And it's like, yeah, I feel more inflammation or my energy's terrible, whatever it is. I mean, that's the best time to experiment because maybe you find something that works for your body that might not work for everybody else's body, or vice versa. Like it might work for me, and then I say, hey, do this, and you're like, dude, it ain't working for me. Everybody's different. So just kind of experiment with yourself, when you get to certain points. But
yeah, definitely. I mean, run the hurry up offense on what you were doing with the eggs, but you were having like 6 eggs at lunch or even more than that.
Pretty much eggs. I was doing like 4 eggs. I was also doing some egg whites, get some extra protein. Then I was doing like 13 ounces of steak, beef. I did turkey. And it wasn't really carnivore because I still had almonds and avocados. But then that worked for the first week. Second week, like I told y'all before we started recording, like I stuck to what I was going to do one day. When I got home every other day, like I started – I was just so hungry. So maybe I need to add more fat. But I mean, I can still mess with it next week, but I'm just going to go back to my baseline and see like if that's – and I also ran out pre-workout. So that also could be a factor. But let's go back to my baseline and maybe I'll revisit it later. But right now it's like I just want to feel good because I last couple of weeks or last couple of days, I just felt bad. Today I felt really good, but just trying to feel good again. So
yeah, feeling good. And even G and those guys talk about like live younger, longer. Like that's the mentality. I think you want to feel good, be able to do your workouts every day. And with that, this is like something that's come up in the group chat too, is people talking about, hey, doing get stacked is too much, or doing 800 meters every day is too much on top of the max lifts. Like I'm going down to 400. I feel better that way. My workouts are better that way. It's part of knowing your body too, and knowing like when, you're pushing too hard. I don't know. Darren, you could talk about this. You've done like 1.5 miles of lunges, 2 miles of lunges. Like that's like very taxing on the body. Like, how are you reacting? Would you ever do that again? Mason talks about like, hey, I'm up in weight from doing all these like long lunges.
I would only do it again. I don't know. I think one reason why I did it was just to like show the group like I can keep up. That was my mentality of like think like I'm not a very like I don't lift like a ton of weight. Like that's I don't know. It doesn't really seem appealing to me. I mean, sometimes it does, but sometimes I'm just like I don't really give a fuck. I just want to look good, like
right. Yep.
But like the one thing I feel proud about is I'll be 43 in October. If I can keep lunging for however much longer and I can still do the distance, come fuck with me. You know, that's how I feel.
Right.
You know, and that's what I mean. That was just another reason why, like, hey, that's why I did it. Like, I wanted to prove to myself, like, I can do this shit. Like, my brain is so fresh of like I can do anything. I think that's what's important, you know. I take note from my 99-year-old grandmother, like, just stay active. That's all she would tell me. I mean, she still tells me that, you know. So
yeah, that's like a big blue zone thing. Like, people nowadays, like, they're obsessed with the gym. They go to the gym, and then the rest of the day they could just be sitting down. But like these blue zones, they're walking to the store, they walk back, you know, they're active, they're like standing up and making their own dinner. It's like very important to just be active. And, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, doing a pump 30. As you're getting older, you want to just be like able to go on walks and be active.
hell yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Evan, can you hear us okay? I feel like you have the most to say at anybody. You're quiet.
That's because he's getting his 60,000 steps in right now. You know that one day you showed us how many steps he got. That's fucking why.
Yeah. Nobody's more active.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, we're seeing a lot of really good progress. Brian was like posting, he's peeled already. So who knows what's going to happen in the next 25 years or so for him. JV has abs, and JV is like, you know, much higher in weight than some of the other past winners. So
Yeah.
He's really tall too. He's like, I think he's like 6'4" or something. So
Yeah, it's a lot of. I'm trying to tell you, when I created the group, it was nothing but fucking dogs. Like, I mean, I could have put more people in there, but at the time, I think I had like, I don't even know how many people we have in there now. I know it was like 15 to 18. I didn't want 50 people, so I just like was going through, and it was the other people who like used to be on one streak, they broke it. They used to get stacked, and they broke it, so I added them in. But everybody in here is killers. But the progress pictures that people have been posting, man, it's inspiring to me. I love it. I mean, you got Matt Jasper. He's quiet, so you got to watch out for him. I know he's fucking killing it. Everybody in the contest, JV, Darren, Brian's fucking peeled, like you said, which I already knew he was going to bring it. Just from 23, because he was in it was only me, him, and Jeff. I don't know if y'all know who Jeff is. We had our little group in 23. And that right there was like a big like push for me in 23, because like everybody was competing. I had other groups too where we were pushing lunges, so it's like we're trying to beat each other's times, but having that group definitely helps, because you're going to push it very hard, but having a group, you're going to push it even further, because you're like competing against each other, healthy competition. But you know, like especially like if you get out of the contest and you get back into the get stack and you start seeing like someone else hit a front squat and you're like, man, I ain't really feeling it, but they hit a PR, man, it kind of gets you motivated to do the same thing. And like you said earlier, Darren, like most people might be surprised, but I do not actually care about my weight, but I just know like pushing it on certain things like that, it's going to give me the results, which I just want to look good. It's just want to help on those results too. So
yeah, and there's some guys in the app now that are posting some progress they look great. This guy Kronk, I think he had really good results last year. He's all about it. You know, Forrester's had some detailed write-ups of what he's doing, but he looks like he's doing pretty good. You know, there's like some killers outside of this group too. So I'm not sleeping on that either.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, you don't see them. I mean, not saying last year, but you know, you don't see them, and then they end up with like crazy results, like a very bad before picture, and they got in really great shape. So you'll see people on the list that you haven't even heard of before, but they're, you know, in the shadows working. So
yeah, I mean, when Brian posted his picture the other day, and then I think I mentioned this in the chat, like I wasn't discouraged, but I was like, I felt like why not me, you know? And I'm like, and I was talking to Brian, I'm like, I can't have that mentality. Once you introduce that negative, I'm just like, it's not going to happen. So I'm like, I told myself, that's just time put in, you know, like that didn't happen overnight. So again, I just can't tell myself, just keep grinding. It's going to happen. Like week over week, compound over years, whatever, it will happen eventually. So I know if guys get discouraged, like you got to think about the long game.
Yeah.
And
I remember reading this like Men's Health article one time, and it was about like do the workout that like Henry Cavill did to be like Superman, like, and this like other article in the magazine was like, you can't get this body because you think you can do this workout for like 4 weeks or 8 weeks, 10 weeks and get this guy's been working out his whole life. Like, you can't do 10 weeks of work. So when you talk about Brian's been lifting MaxEffort for, I don't know, a decade. Like,
a long time.
He's in amazing shape.
Yeah.
Like, it was probably hard for him to get out of shape to get back in, and there's like, he looks great. Like, I'm best of luck to him going forward towards the end of the contest.
And like what you're saying there is how I felt in 23, because like I said, we were in a group. I saw the work he was putting in. I was pushing him. He was pushing me on lists, on lunges, everything. And then he posted his picture. I think G Social just got started then. He either posted there or I was on Instagram. And I was like, which I knew he was killing it, but he posted that. Man, my soul kind of dropped a little bit, because I was like, this dude just fucking won. I mean, with his results, I was like, this dude just won. And I was like, this is crazy. But then it just was like, oh, yeah. I still have plenty of time. I had like a month left. So I was like, all right, time to step my game up. And I mean, that I did. But then we used to start talking about like the list in 23, which we all talked about. Like, I didn't see Brian up there. Didn't see Mason up there. Didn't see Jeff up there. I'm like, dude, what the fuck, man? And then I was like, I don't know how they're judging this year, but you just never know. But I mean, like, both of them killed it. And there's other people, that killed it too that just didn't make the list. But they just use that as extra motivation, extra fuel, man.
Actually, I like what you said there, because you said you had a late entry. And I like the late entry also, because then you see the first wave of people, the people that started January 1st, they are submitting, and you still have like a couple weeks left. So to see like, wow, this guy looks amazing. Like, I really need to focus the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks to dial it in. So I'm curious what G puts out for like his peak week video. That'll be different than the past. I'm he talked about it a little bit on the minicast this week. But I think that's like a key thing, like right at the end, like maybe you go like fully no carbs the last week or so. But like it's hard. You're just like, I remember I was just like spiking with olive oil at the end just to try to like lean out as much as I could.
For you are, because like me looking back in 23, it might have been on Wednesday. It's before I had my my spray tan, because I mean, if I'm doing something, I'm doing it all in. So I was like, I'm pacey as fuck. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to spray tan, because I think that would make a little bit of difference in the lighting and stuff, right? But I was like, the day before I got my spray tan, I looked the best, I think, because I was taking pictures throughout, which I tell people, like, start working on posing, because it's just not fucking easy, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, to get the right angle to pose, to get as much stuff as you can flex for your pictures. You want to work on it, because if not, like, you start doing it the day of, and you start stressing out too, because like, fuck, I look terrible. Like, I look terrible. I'm not like doing the best I can. I learned that from the first year. So, but I forgot where I was going with this at. But oh yeah. But anyways, I looked the best. I looked that Wednesday. I think I kind of went and was like too lean. Didn't have no glycogen, more flat, whatever you want to say. Like the day I actually took my pictures, my side abs looked freaking nasty, but I mean, just me comparing myself to myself, like some people probably wouldn't see it, but I just think I looked better a couple of days before. But I think I went a little too hard on peak week. That's the thing about it, is like in the contest where we were talking earlier, like you start hitting plateaus.
Yeah.
You got to make decisions. It's like, do I just ride with what I'm doing and the plateau will break itself? Do I up the lunges, like doing the mile? Like I know people are doing the mile. It's kind of what I did that year too. Do I up the lunges? Do I like take my foot off the gas a little bit? Maybe I'm inflamed a little bit. Same thing with the peak week. It's like, I'm trying to tell you, like the day before I took the pictures, I was like, should I go like hamburger fries and get more salt and stuff? And maybe I have like a really nice pump, but then it's like, they don't want to fuck up all this progress I made.
Right.
Even though I probably wouldn't have, but it's like all that shit goes through your head and you're trying to make the best decision, because none of us are fitness gurus. We don't do it for a job. We all have regular ass jobs, just regular people, but all that goes through your mind. I mean, if it doesn't, then I mean, I don't know. For me, it always kind of went through my mind, and then that's where you talk to other people, like I said earlier, who's won the contest, has good results, and running ideas off each other, because I've done that a lot. The year I won, me and Brian were going through stuff, because he was, like I said, a month before, and then talking about back to like a month before, like I always said, like, if you're in front of me, like I'm not missing, so you missing days, you're never gonna catch up to me, man. That's the mentality I had.
All right, let me stop you here for a sec. Because you're touching on a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think what you said too is like very key. Everybody's going to be a little different there towards peak week. Travis, he posted his peak week strategy whatever, a year or two ago. And he was like, I eat a sweet potato at lunch, I eat a sweet potato at dinner, and I eat a sweet potato as a spike. But, you know, other people will be like, oh, I like cut out carbs completely at the end. You know, so it's like very hard. And unless you have done this before and know how your body's going to react. But you said, you know, we do this like once a year. So it's like tough to know exactly how you're going to have the best result.
Yeah. That's
Now,
true.
But for me, like, I can't do sweet potato lunch, dinner, and spike. That's too much carbs for me. I mean, I just know my body. And plus doing that sweet potato for lunch, for whatever reason, it knocks me out.
Yeah. Darren, any thought for you? I mean, you're the closest to doing a peak week. Any thought on what you might do, or just kind of stick to the normal protocol?
I might look at what I did last year. Dalton and I like sat down and like worked out like what the strategy would be.
Cool. I didn't know that.
It was similar to what he did the year that he won. I have to look. I have it written down in my notes. Yeah, probably something similar, or I don't know. I'm just taking it week to week, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, so, but I was telling, I mean, this is past the contest. Like, I cannot wait to be, I told myself prior to contest that I'm so sick of being the float Darren of like 235, 260. Like, it's just, that cannot be who I am. And so I cannot wait to be the 190 to 215 Darren, and then eat 101 and a half. You know, like I cannot wait to eat sweet potatoes on the regular, because my body just holds on to sweet potatoes like for whatever reason. But I want to, like, in the wintertime, I want to be more like eat more that way, because this past winter, dude, my vacation mode was just on the whole time. Like every weekend, I'm like, I'm just gonna go ballistic and not give a shit. And over time, instead of going this way, it went this way, you know, like.
Yeah. And I think this is a really good point, because in terms of like holding this transformation contest, that would be an amazing transformation. Is you didn't do this for a 10-week period. You transformed your entire life. And moving forward, now you are like a different person, because you weigh 190 pounds as your float. Like this, that would be a huge transformation, rather than, you know, just put on a lot of weight and lose that weight. Like, is that really a big transformation? I don't know. I'm just saying, I think that's like would be an amazing thing.
I think I relate more to Cole from Corey's guys versus Corey himself, just because I think Cole was that guy that, like he talked about, would never take his shirt off in the gym, and he was like the only one that wouldn't take his shirt off. And then finally he's like, enough of like, I know what I'm doing that's not getting me there. And I'm the same way. Like, I know what I've been doing that's not letting me get there. And it's so silly, because like everyone sees the work I put in. So why don't I just keep doing the work and continuing that and being mindful? Like it sucks sometimes, but like sometimes you got to do shit that sucks in order to get the results that you want. So
yeah. No, for sure.
Do that. I mean, you post your food in the group, so we all see what you're eating. I think last year you probably were doing too much on the weekends, and then you're always kind of going back and trying to, you know, undo what you did on the weekend. Where this year you've been more strategic. You've been doing the creamy, which has been better for you. So you kind of learned that from yourself. And then, like I said, after the contest, you know your body, and it's like, you know, maybe I go cheat one day here, and then I do the creamy spike or whatever, and that works for you. And then you're just fucking dropping, boom, 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 and then you do that midweek like spike or whatever, and then you get to that holy grail level. Because I mean, depending on everybody's different. You might be at like 215. You say, I'm at the holy grail level. This is where I want to be at. But everybody's different. You get to 190, and you're able to get away with Wednesday and really Friday, Saturday. I think that would be great. Obviously, contest is different because you're trying to get down to your low weight. But once you kind of maintain, you can really see like, this works, this is too much. And that's what I did in 23. I mean, I'd eat all kinds of food and everything would work, but I always stick with tacos and ice cream and Oreos. I mean, it just works really good for me, unless I go on vacation where I'm a degenerate. But I always come back to it. I always want to be in that float. I just don't want to, you know, increase and then keep increasing. I mean, same thing like what you're trying to do is lifestyle, you know.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Danny.
No, I was just going to say, you know, same thing during the contest, you know, trying to have nice dinners with my wife, but not eating these like pizzas or something. So luckily I like to cook. Last night I had made paella, which I felt like rice is like easily digestible with like some fish and stuff. It was nice. And tonight we're going to do sushi with the same kind of thought, but it's not like, oh, here he is. He's eating sweet potatoes again. Like those are good spikes for me. I think like I digest them well. I think I can come back well from that.
Yeah, I mean, looking at Dalton when he's eating, the way he's eating, I'm like, definitely get a little envious of that,
Yeah, me too.
For
sure.
We'll get there. It's just fucking time involved. And then, like, when you say rice, like, I know it's not a big AF thing, but jasmine rice, I don't eat it as much, but, I could stay lean on jasmine rice. Everybody's different. You got to find what suits you. Obviously, AF's is, like, really broad, so there's no guessing. And you just follow that, and it really gets you results. But you start adding stuff, experiment, and you kind of see what works. Like, everybody's spikes are going to be different, but Darren, you're killing it, man. So
yeah,
thank you for doing your thing. So
I'm gonna say on the AF, I think it's 102 video. Corey's like, he's like, could you do this with rice? Maybe. Could you do it with brown rice? Maybe. I do it with sweet potatoes, and I know it works with. Actually, he says sweet potatoes. Like.
Yeah, for sure. The creamy stuff though, I feel like it can go one or two ways, like especially if you're first starting with like using the creamy, it can go really great. I like found the recipe for me, and then sometimes like I made a creamy and I'm like, this fucking sucks. Like, like what a waste of my time. Like I'm not even into like what I'm eating. I'm so pissed off because I waited all week for this.
Right.
And then I get depressed because I'm like, man, I really wanted something good, but I finally feel like the base creamy for me is so I tried what Brian showed yesterday, was that Fairlife like power core, whatever it is. I did that last week. It's decent, like not a bad mix. I think it's just too much protein in that, because then I also add a scoop of MaxEffort vanilla ice cream whey.
Yeah.
And I'm a vanilla guy all the way. Like chocolate's okay, but like I like a vanilla base. So this week I went half or 1 cup of almond milk, 1 cup of 2% Fairlife, and then a scoop of the vanilla whey. I always add in a few little extras of like a pinch of sea salt, a packet of stevia, and then I do like a cap full of vanilla extract and a cap full of butter extract. Like just kind of make it more like whatever I can. And that mixture right there, what you all saw last night, like that was so good. And those Oreo thins, with it's not the more stuff, but it's the extra stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, Brian told me about
extra stuff.
That ratio of like the cream and the thin Oreo, like whatever that is, so good. And then I don't know if it was Dalton or Steve mentioning the fucking peanut butter pie Oreos. Those are the best. That's like my new favorite Oreo. Like,
I love the peanut butter stuff. I think those are the best. We're at like half an hour here. I don't know if anybody wants to take us home. Any motivating words to try to, inspire the group a little bit. But I thought this was great, and this was like the fastest one that we've done yet.
No, this is great.
So,
Dalton, as a winner,
in 23, once you start losing weight, you start seeing cuts. You start seeing little deltoid cuts. You start seeing your abs pop. Only thing I'll say is, don't fucking stop. You came for great results, not good results. So no matter how good you think you look, you still got 2 weeks, 1 week, whatever the fuck it is. Keep your foot on the gas and fucking go. Let's go.
I got one last comment. Is
take us home.
Let's talk about real quick, when we're done with the contest, what is the thing you've been missing that you want to eat?
Question.
I mean, I can start, or Dalton, you go for it. I feel like you can eat anything, so you really don't count.
Well, I'm thinking about in 23, like what I was missing the most. But you go first.
Well, last year I did it, and I'll probably do it again this year. For whatever reason, I'm obsessed with Chipotle burritos.
Nice.
That combination of their rice and their protein, and I don't know what they put in their sour cream and their cheese, and that whole mixture of medley of fucking deliciousness. I think I could probably eat 2 burritos if I really, really wanted to.
Yeah. I think that's probably one of the better cheat decisions, like a tortilla, rice, beans, cheese.
Oh, dude, so good.
Avocado. Yeah, I think that sounds pretty good. For me, it's always pizza. Like I eat pizza like 2 or 3 times a year now, and
maybe Olive Garden. My wife is obsessed with Olive Garden.
It's actually funny.
As an Italian guy, I'm offended.
Josh Carey did a Chipotle burrito for his cheat meal during the contest every Friday.
Wow. Yeah, you know what? I like Travis is always talking about the Uncrustables during the contest. Yeah.
I mean, those are
All
solid.
right. We're really along here. This is in the chat. Let's keep it going. Any foods that you've been missing, but you don't want to put temptation too much in your head. We still got like 4 weeks to go here.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys.
That's what I would miss.
Let's do another one of these. I think this was great. We'll have different people on next time. Boys, good luck rest of the way. Stay focused. Enjoy the cheats tonight. I'm Danny Sess, and that's what I'm saying.